The Presidential Task Force, PTF, on COVID-19 has released fresh guidelines for the reopening of schools nationwide. The News Agency of Nigeria, NAN, reports that this followed the earlier directive by the PTF that schools were free to reopen as from October 12. Addressing journalists at PTF briefing on Thursday, October 8, 2020 in Abuja, the National Coordinator of the Task Force, Dr. Sani Aliyu, said the fresh guidelines which schools must strictly adhere to were developed by the PTF in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Education and the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC. Aliyu added, schools and educational bodies that plan to reopen must have detailed communication protocols that include parents, school health teams, school authorities, and local state officials. They must also have a system for providing regular updates to parents, staff, and relevant authorities, as well as communicate changes to procedures effectively and clearly, as well as taking effective measures to understand how COVID-19 can spread and how to mitigate the spread in line with official guidelines. Specifically, school authorities have the responsibilities to ensure that everyone gaining access to their schools is screened properly, is wearing a mask, and sanitizing their hands. Boarding schools must have identified areas for screening and putting positive students aside. There must be access to running water and hand washing facilities. The health staff, particularly in boarding schools, must be trained and provided with PPE, that is, personal protective equipment. There must be appropriate waste management systems. Health facilities that are within the schools, that serve the schools, should have the ability to cater for an outbreak, and a response protocol must be in place for these schools for students who test positive. In this regard, it is important to involve their parents and make sure that parents have signed consent forms in advance. Schools should also work in synergy with the local government rapid response teams and collaborate with the state ministries of health on planning, implementation, and reopening of schools. We encourage schools to consider creative solutions to abide by these guidelines. The coordinator also said that the Independent National Electoral Commission would enforce the no face mask, no voting directive in the forthcoming governorship election holding on Saturday in Ondo State. Aliyu said with 1.5 million eligible voters in 3,000 polling units across 18 local government areas of the state, the election is clearly a huge exercise, which would also come with its risk. He also urged the 17 candidates in the election to live by example by adhering strictly to the COVID-19 guidelines. From Lagos, this is Tina Timothy, News Express Nigeria Television.